All right, welcome to this explainer. Let's be real, if you've ever felt completely frustrated by a new induction cooktop, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dive into the science behind this amazingly fast tech and demystify that steep learning curve that leaves so many home chefs literally scratching their heads.
When we were digging into the forums for this, I found countless stories online just like this one. It's a hilarious but honestly totally relatable quote from a Reddit user describing touch panels that seem to just have a mind of their own. I mean, it is incredibly stressful when you're just trying to make a simple dinner and your stove starts acting like it's possessed by a poltergeist.
So here's what we're covering today. 1. Troubleshooting phantom controls. 2. Using the control lock. 3. Mastering the boost function. 4. The power sharing effect. And 5. Essential induction best practices. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Troubleshooting phantom controls. We've got to start by tackling those maddening, totally unresponsive, or just wildly bouncing touch controls that plague so many users.
You know the drill. Owners frequently report that their interface just flat out ignores their fingers, changes temperatures on a whim, or simply shuts down while they're right in the middle of cooking. You might be standing there watching, and suddenly your gentle simmer jumps to a violent rolling boil, or the whole stovetop just powers down. Well, before you panic and assume the control board is totally fried, there's a very simple fix you need to try first. It's like any computer, right? When it gets confused, performing a hard reboot will often completely reset the system and cure the glitches. According to seasoned repair techs, you need to head down to your home's electrical panel and physically flip the breaker off for the stove. And this is the absolutely critical part, wait at least 10 minutes. Seriously, don't just flip it off and right back on. Giving it that full 10 minutes allows the capacitive charges in the board to fully dissipate. Once you turn it back on, you'll likely find your stove is acting completely normal again.
Section 2. Using the control lock. Let's see how building one simple, everyday habit can stop this poltergeist effect before it even starts.
So why does it happen? It turns out induction panels are wildly sensitive. They read the electrical capacitance of your finger to know when you're pressing a button. But here's the kicker. Water, steam, and even cooking oil actually mimic that exact same capacitance. So if a pot lid drips or hot liquid splashes onto the glass, the stove literally thinks you are pressing the buttons. Even a super thin, invisible film of cooking oil left behind can make the whole interface freeze up and ignore your actual fingers.
The fix is super easy. By locking the controls when you aren't actively adjusting the heat, you can wipe away all those oils and moisture without accidentally turning on a burner. Most models have a dedicated lock pad. Just hold it down for 3 seconds. If you don't see one, you can usually hold the cook time and timer buttons down together. Once it's locked, use a spray cleaner to wipe the surface clean every single day. And pro tip? Always keep a dry towel handy. Touching that panel with wet hands is pretty much a guaranteed way to freeze up the system.
Section 3. Mastering the boost function. Now that your stove is behaving, it's time to talk about what is probably the most misunderstood feature on the whole appliance.
3,700. That is the massive wattage a standard 11-inch element can pump out on boost, getting your water boiling incredibly fast. To put that into perspective for you, a standard high setting is only about 1,800 to 2,200 watts. So pushing 3,700 watts means your stove is temporarily running that induction coil at its absolute maximum rated output. It's a total game changer.
Now you might be wondering, isn't that going to spike my electric bill? Nope. Using the boost function to boil water doesn't waste electricity at all because you're using the exact same amount of energy, you're just doing it twice as fast. Basic physics dictates that boiling a couple liters of water from cold takes a fixed amount of energy, about 0.2 kilowatt hours. Whether you do that slowly over 7 minutes or absolutely blast it in 3.5 minutes on boost, the total energy consumed is identical. You're just saving yourself time.
But, and this is a big but, boost is meant strictly for short bursts. Use it to quickly boil water, rapidly preheat a heavy skillet, or reheat soup. Do not use it to simmer a delicate sauce or melt butter. If you leave it on for that kind of stuff, you are pulling huge wattage for something that only needs a tiny bit of heat. You'll instantly burn your food and waste massive amounts of energy. Treat it like a rocket launch. Blast the heat to get up to speed, and the second you reach your target, step the power right back down to a standard level.
Section 4. The power sharing effect. This one leads to a very common moment of panic for new induction users.
Has this ever happened to you? You've got a pot boiling away on one side, you turn on a second burner, and boom, the first one suddenly loses its strength. It's exactly the kind of scenario that prompts panicked calls to repair techs with people convinced their brand new cooktop is already broken.
Well, the good news is it's not broken at all.
It's just actively sharing a strict total power budget across all the burners so you don't trip your circuit breaker. Your whole stovetop likely has a max limit of around 7.4 kilowatts. If you activate Boost on one burner and demand 3.5 kilowatts, the stove's internal computer instantly does the math. It will automatically lower the power of the other active zones to ensure it never exceeds that 7.4 total. It's literally a built-in safety feature. You just have to be a little strategic about when and where you deploy that boost function during a big meal.
Also, here's a quick pro tip for you. You know that buzzing or humming noise? Induction inherently creates a magnetic vibration between the coil and your cookware. Pushing maximum wattage on boost makes that vibration much louder. So if it's bothering you, or you're entertaining guests and want a quieter kitchen, simply stepping down from boost to level 9 will significantly quiet things down while still giving you plenty of heat.
Section 5, Essential Induction Best Practices. The crucial point here is that induction requires slightly different habits than traditional gas or electric coils. Let's look at a few fast tips. To really get the most out of your investment, obviously, make sure you have ferromagnetic or magnetic cookware, but also ensure your pan perfectly fits the burner size. If it's too small, the stove might not even detect it. Stick-bottom pans are definitely your best friend for distributing that incredibly rapid heat. Never, ever walk away from an empty pan on high. And importantly, treat the controls like a gas flame. When you turn it down, the heat drops that exact second. There's no waiting around for a hot coil to cool off.
And speaking of that intense heat, I cannot stress this warning enough. Heat your cast iron slowly, because the magnetic field heats the metal directly. Blasting a cold cast iron skillet with maximum power creates uneven thermal shock. It's so fast that the center of the pan expands violently before the edges even have a chance to warm up. That extreme stress can literally crack your favorite pan right down the middle. So always start your cast iron on half power or less and just let it come up to temperature gently.
So, there you have it. By locking your controls, using Boost strategically, and treating your cookware right, you are totally ready to master this tech. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer. It really makes you wonder, though, as magnetic induction gets even smarter and even faster, how else is science going to completely rewrite the rules of traditional cooking? Definitely something to chew on. Until next time, stay curious and happy cooking.